Hi, everybody. This is Team Minael's NASPA case study presentation 2024. My name is Michelle Bellata, and I use she, they pronouns.
Hello, my name is Nate Hernandez. I use he, him pronouns.
Hi, I'm Emmanuel Akoto. I use he, him pronouns.
So starting off with a brief introduction about K-State University, we wanted to show some key data highlighted on this slide. This case involves a new state law which states that colleges and universities are to eliminate any offices, programs, or practices that excludes individuals to their identities. Student protest has erupted after K-State eliminated their Hispanic and Black student centers and is now conflicting with the physical space and time of orientation.
We'll highlight two critical frameworks and theories guiding our analysis of the K-State University, that's repressive legalism and culturally engaging campus environments, modeled as the CC model. First, the repressive legalism, as defined by Garces et al. 2021, illustrates how institutions' responses often prioritize legal neutrality at the expense of meaningful inclusion. In the case of K-State University, the closure of the culture centers and then the cautious approach to managing the Somos Unidos protest reflects this framework. While intended to navigate state mandates such as the actions can be seen as divisive, suppressing marginalized voices and eroding trust among Hispanic Latino students. This framework cautions us about the risk of neutrality when equity demands a more proactive approach. On the other side of the coin, the CC model by Mrs. 2014 offers visions of inclusiveness. It emphasizes 8 key indicators such as culturally validating environment and holistic support, which are vital for promoting a sense of belonging and retention. For K-States, applying the CC model involves creating culturally relevant programming, temporary affinity spaces, and humanized engagement to mitigate the harm caused by the loss of the Hispanic and then the Black centers. The next slide shows our visualization of the working theory and then the framework. Together, this you will see in this an inclusive person and a divisive person trying to in a boxing match. So this is how we visualize our theory and then the framework. We believe that together this framework highlights a critical tension. Regressive legalism in here risk deepening division, while the CC model promotes inclusiveness and belonging. Our recommendation aims to navigate the divide by aligning institutional actions with K-State's universities Hispanic serving institution mission to ensure both compliance and then meaningful support for Hispanic Latini. We'll move on to our next slide.
The first issue we identified is freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Public colleges and universities must abide by the right to freedom of speech set forth in the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. All speech is protected unless it is threatening or instigates violence or illegal acts. College campuses have a very interesting role with this issue. Some institutions, including the University of Michigan and the University of Wisconsin, have implemented policies that either protect all kinds of speech or place restrictions on hate speech and time, place, and manner. This topic is heavily debated and criticized for not upholding the First Amendment when restrictions on hate speech are implemented. Academic freedom of expression is also at stake. One article by Summers et al. 2024 shares about how academic freedom of expression has been at risk since post 9/11 2001. The authors state, patriotism and censorship go hand in glove in times of national crisis. In these testing times, faculty speech will be evaluated for patriotism. Student academic freedom can also be affected if they're not able to explore various points of view with their faculty members. Additionally, students may disengage from their environments as it does not support their diverse needs.
The second major issue we identified was compliance with state law. Regressive legalism may explain why K-State University likely responded to legislation by closing the Hispanic and Black student centers. This is likely an example of overcorrecting, where K-State felt it would be most beneficial to proactively respond by closing 2 offices that, on first glance, would not align with the state law. State legislation impacts higher education institutions both directly and indirectly. Not aligning with state government values can impact an institution's ability to secure state funding. And at a time of declining enrollment rates and fierce competition for resources, It makes sense that institutions would do all they can to avoid retaliation from state governments. However, as pointed out in Garces et al.'s study, this response can have long-lasting negative consequences. When institutions overcorrect, that overcorrection becomes normalized and expected. As well, this could impact prospective students' decisions to attend K-State. Students may react to the removal of these spaces by feeling as though the institution does not support their identity, and they may choose another institution to attend instead. Or they may decide that there is not a place in higher education for them and decide against seeking post-secondary education entirely.
Our third issue deals with institutional reputation, which is pivotal for higher education. Institutions like K-State University, especially it being a Hispanic 7 institution. Institutional reputation directly impacts student enrollment, alumni engagement, community partnership. Chen 2005 and Walker 2010 emphasized that a strong reputation depends on a consistent alignment between institutional values and then actions. Cohen 2007 adds that reputation in higher education is strengthened by proactive responses to stakeholder concerns, particularly during times of crisis. K-State University, being a Hispanic 7 institution in the Metro City suburb, K-State's reputation is tied to its ability to serve Hispanic Latino students effectively. According to the HSI data 2024, HSIs enrolled 31.7% of all US undergraduate. This means that K-State's ability to sustain its position as a leading HSI hinges on addressing the needs of this growing population. However, Garces et al. 2021 cautioned that mishandling protests or responses to hate speech potential to lead to prioritizing legal neutrality over cultural responsiveness. For K-States, K-State actually risk alienating Hispanic communities and then undermining their trust. Similarly, the White House Executive Order 2024 reminds us that the HSI serves diverse urban, rural, and suburban populations, making their role in addressing inclusion and equity even more critical. To maintain its reputation and fulfill its HSI mission, K-State University must act decisively. This includes fostering cultural responsiveness, prioritizing the Hispanic Latino students' needs, balancing legal obligation with equity. By doing this, we so believe that K-State will strengthen trust and reaffirm its leadership as a Hispanic 7 institution in the metro city area.
Our fourth issue is the impact that this case has on students. Students on campus, like Jose Ramon Garcia Gonzalez, who is the president of Somos Unidos and who also serves in many other leadership spaces on campus. Another student, Susie Torres, holds roles on both the orientation team and leadership within Somos Unidos. Susie is concerned about these dual roles and how she will navigate them as they are now conflicting with one another. Not only individual students, but also community groups and friends have been impacted. Hispanic students and Black students at K-State have lost their physical space where community was formed and sense of belonging was fostered. Closing these spaces could lead to fewer relationship building opportunities within community and more students who feel like they do not belong. The CC model shares about the importance of cultural familiarity and culturally relevant knowledge, stating that if students are around others who have similar backgrounds and those of the same race, they're more likely to succeed. Closing affinity spaces like the Hispanic Student Center and Black Student Center are culturally validating environments being taken away, which will affect these student populations' connectivity to one another and opportunities for all students to interact cross-culturally with one another. Being an institution with 76% of the population being Hispanic and Latinx, it is necessary to identify and implement opportunities and supports to best suit your students' needs. Now that we've identified the key issues, we want to share some recommendations for practice. Our first recommendation is to have efficient and effective communication within a campus community. It's important for the leadership to send out a message to the community, recognizing the impact an issue or event has not only on the campus community, but a specific impacted community. Leadership should also ensure they are emphasizing student safety and well-being in their messaging. It will be important for the institution to explicitly share support for Hispanic students, Black students, and for all students. These spaces support the entire student population. Garcia et al. 2020 shares that institutional leaders' messages fail to include language that addresses the violent and negative effects of hate speech on students of color. We could also apply this to anti-DEI work like this, as it has drastic negative effects. Acknowledging harm done to the campus climate, culture, and community is important to recognize. Musaeus' CC model talks about how students within culturally validating environments are more likely to succeed academically, feel like they belong, and have higher retention rates. An acknowledgement that the loss of these spaces may cause additional impact or stress in one's life is necessary. A sharing of resources on both on campus and off campus is recommended to promote student well-being. Resources such as the Health and Counseling Center, Office of Equal Opportunity in Title IX, and others. Off-campus affinity spaces, sober spaces, religious spaces, cultural spaces, and more are examples of recommendations and resources that can be linked for all students' easy access. Healthy and accurate communication within a campus community is essential to building trust and rapport amongst administration and students during times of conflict. Our second recommendation is to engage directly with student activists and impacted organizations. Brave spaces are one way that students and administration can engage with one another. They encourage respectful dialogue amongst individuals who may or may not agree on various issues. Brave spaces can also be applied to administrator and student relationships to encourage both dialogue and intentional listening of each other's perspectives. Brave spaces can help promote trust and openness within an institution. Students must also have a say and a voice in decision-making, as students help fulfill the mission and purpose of an institution. Student leader representatives should be involved within meetings about issues that affect the student body, such as protest policies, academic affairs, DEI efforts, and affinity spaces. Administration should engage with students with purpose. They should pose questions and consider, what is Somos Unidos' purpose within this protest? Can agreements be made prior to the protest? What should the administration prepare to share with students and also ask from students? How will students and student groups continue to be engaged in ongoing conversations with administration? Hertz 2020 shares that campus administrators must recognize that student activism is a healthy, active form of participation on campus. Students want to be involved and want to have an active voice so that they can be involved in decision making. In an article about student unrest in South African universities, the author Amadan 2023 discusses the collegial leadership model, which states that building consensus and engaging with students in making decisions is going to affect the student experience positively and cause less student unrest. Having a good working relationship will be necessary for a healthy campus climate and culture.
Our third recommendation, we evaluate Case State University's alignment with its Hispanic serving institution designation and its responsibilities to serving Hispanic Latino students. To qualify as an HSI, a university according to the Higher Education Act captured in the Congressional Research 2015, a university must enroll at least 25% of Latino students. While K-State University meets this eligibility requirement, it is unclear whether the institution has a clear mission or measurable goals aligned with the HSI mandate. As Lopez and then Martin 2018 emphasized, mission statements are the foundation of organizational strategy and purpose, yet K-State University's mission remains ambiguous in relation to its role as an HSI. To fulfill its mandate and improve outcomes for Hispanic Latino students, K-State University must develop a comprehensive strategy plan tailored towards HSI goals. This plan should include measurable outcomes for enrollment, retention, academic success. In addition, the university needs a clear articulated mission statement that defines its position and ensures resilience in standing firm for its values. By doing so, K-State University can align its resources and efforts to serve Hispanic Latino students effectively and also demonstrate leadership as an HSI. We move on.
Our next recommendation is for K-State University to utilize legal experts to ensure compliance with the new state law without overcorrecting. As Somos Unidos pointed out, the law did not explicitly call for the closing of either the Hispanic or Black student centers. Utilizing lawyers in preparation for the new law would have allowed K-State to interpret the law more accurately and perhaps could have assisted in preventing closing those spaces. Moving forward, K-State should still utilize these experts in navigating this campus conflict. Lawyers will be especially helpful in assisting K-State in their messaging. K-State will need to be extremely intentional of their wording and phrasing to ensure that no stakeholders can accuse them of excluding a group based on identity. Lawyers can help ensure that K-State effectively communicates that all spaces, such as the Hispanic and Black student centers, are for all students, and that these spaces do not bar students from other racial or ethnic backgrounds from seeking support or resources. If new laws come into effect, lawyers can provide guidance to avoid other misinterpretation of legislation, hopefully preventing a similar situation such as that in this case study. As well, legal experts will be key in ensuring K-State is abiding correctly by the First Amendment. They may also be helpful in determining how to limit liability in the case of protests, particularly at student safety. And our final recommendation is to reinstate the Hispanic and Black student centers. Based on the input from Somos Unidos and its student leaders, these centers are valuable to their college experience. Utilizing legal experts and examples from other institutions will help K-State decide how to advertise these spaces. This is where lawyers will be especially helpful. We suggest two options. K-State University could explicitly state that the centers are open to all students, regardless of ethnic or racial background. This would need to be stated on all marketing materials, websites, and perhaps even on the physical space. Alternatively, K-State could choose to rename the Student Center to be more broad. For example, the Student Success Center. If taking this route, engagement with students will be crucial to ensure they understand the reasons behind the name change. Reinstating these centers would send the clear message to stakeholders that K-State University does truly value their students of color. It would allow student activists, especially those in Somos Unidos, to feel truly heard. Students would understand that K-State is not only willing to put work to ensure they have access to their culturally affirming spaces, but would see that K-State's actions reflect their words. To prospective students, this could be a real influence to commit to K-State, especially if other institutions in the area do not follow this approach. So, our proposed action and timeline can be seen here. First and foremost, K-State must communicate transparently with their students before the planned protest. A message from a chancellor president will acknowledge the harm done and outline steps being taken to make amends. This goes directly into engaging with the students. The institution must quickly meet with students from Somos Unidos and other affinity groups to have a conversation. And we truly wish to emphasize conversation. This engagement cannot be one time, and it cannot be simply telling students that this is how it is and our hands are tied. While engaging with students, K-State should evaluate the missions and values of Hispanic serving institutions and whether they are in alignment with those values. This must include feedback from student activists, particularly Hispanic and Latinx students. Before implementing any changes, K-State University should engage with legal experts to ensure they're complying with state laws exactly and not overcorrecting. Finally, we recommend that K-State reinstate their Hispanic and Black student centers, being mindful and intentional of how they describe the purpose of the center so as not to imply students of other backgrounds cannot engage with them. We feel this will allow K-State University to acknowledge the harm done, take steps towards amends, and set K-State up to rebuild trust from their students. These are our references, and we thank you for your time.